So we're going to go ahead and get started on our backs today. So if you want to go ahead and get settled in, we're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana and recline butterfly. Just lay out on your back, knees out to the side, left hand to your heart, right hand to your belly, or whatever's comfortable. Close your eyes and breathe. Hope you've had a good day. And if you have, cool. It'll be easy for you to just relax. If your day's been hectic or crazy, try to just let it go. Lay back onto your mat. Let yourself just be on your mat. It's yoga time. It's not time to be all stressed out. It's time to just relax and do your yoga practice. Start your breath in through your nose, out through your nose. Fill your lungs up. And as you exhale, let them go empty. Let it out. Find a nice pace that works for you. In through your nose, out through your nose. Fill up, empty. Fill up and empty. Relax through your hips. Allow your knees just to open on their own. Don't try to force them. Maybe shift your hips a little side to side. Maybe loosen them up a little bit extra. But don't force them down. Just relax and let them open on their own. Take a deep breath in and fill your lungs up. And let it out. Full breath in. And a long breath out. As you inhale, bring your knees together. And as you exhale, bring your knees in and give them a squeeze to your chest. Rock a little side to side. And I want you to try to press your tailbone into the floor, tuck your chin towards your throat, but keep the back of your head to your mat, and get a good long spine. Extend your right foot out to the end of your mat. Keep your left knee into your chest, and with your right hand, pull your left knee to the right, spinal twist. Extend your left hand off to the side, and look towards your left hand. Mark let out a, whoa. Must feel good. Take a deep breath in and bring your right knee back into your chest with your left. Both knees in. Both knees in, give them a squeeze, then extend your left foot out. Left hand grabs your right knee, pull it to the side, spinal twist. Extend your right hand off to the side and look towards your right hand. Just settle and relax for a second. Let your right shoulder just reach toward the floor. Bring both knees back to your chest. Give them a squeeze. Rock forward and come into a cross-legged set. Hands to your heart. Let's start class with an Om. Take a deep breath in. Come into a downward facing dog. Down dog. Spread your fingers out wide on your mat. Take your tailbone up and back and walk your dog. Shift and move, twist, bend. Walk your legs. Was mine. I had a blanket up here and it got moved. So I can kneel down and point out stuff. Let your chest sink back towards your toes. Shake your butt. Move it side to side. Wiggle it around. Then shift forward into a high push-up pose and lower yourself all the way to the floor. We're going to come into a half frog to start off. I want you to warm up your hip flexors gently by taking your right arm and propping your chest up. Take your left hand back and grab your left foot. Gently pull your foot towards your glute, and you're working to get a little bit of an opening through your left hip flexor. Just warming it up a little bit. Getting the quads loosened up. Getting your back a little bit warmed up. Take a full breath in and switch to the other side. Take your left forearm out front. Bring your right foot up and grab your right foot with your right hand. Keep your chest lifted. It's important to get that opening through your right hip flexor. Take a full breath in and release that foot. Come into a tabletop. Drop your belly, look to the ceiling for cow pose. And as you exhale, arch your back and come into cat. Cow pose, drop your belly, look up, and exhale to cat. Hold your cat pose here. Take the top of your feet to the floor. I want you to keep your cat pose, arch your back, and I want you to take your tailbone, your heel, your butt, and try to set it back to your heels again. Keep your cat pose. Nice rounded back. Kind of hang out there. Maybe shift a little side to side. Keep that arch in your back. And then shift back up into cat pose, shoulders over wrists, and go forward a little bit extra. Maybe shoulders a little ways past your hip or your wrists. Come back into cow pose. And let's do that one more time. Come back into cat, arch your back, send it up, tuck your chin to your chest, and take your butt back to your heels. And on your next inhale, come back up, shift your shoulders past your wrists forward, and back to tabletop. Downward facing dog. Walk your feet to your hands and come into a ragdoll. Forward fold, shake your arms loose, relax them. Get some looseness through your shoulders, through your wrists, through your neck. And slowly rise up to mountain pose. Take your hands over your head, reach up, lift through the sides of your body. Bring it up and reach. Little fingers turn inward toward each other. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, flatten your back, and forward fold. Rise up to mountain pose, hands overhead, lift up. Exhale, forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back, and fold. Rise up to mountain pose, hands overhead. I want you to keep your right hand lifted and take your left hand by your side. Now we're going to come into a side bend, but what I want you to do is to focus mainly on sending your right hip as far to the right as you can. Send your right hip to the right and reach your right hand to the left. We'll send it out so you're getting a good arch to the right side of your body. If you should happen to feel a little cramped in your left side, ease up a little bit, then try to come back in a little bit. Keep reaching with your right hand. Mark's got a nice arch right through here, nice curve. Take a deep breath in and rise back up. Take your left hand up, bring your right hand to your side. Same thing, other side. Send your left hip to the left as far as you can. Feet stay flat, reach your left hand up and over to your right side. Get a good arch through your left side body. Just warming up a little bit through here. Getting your hips a little bit loosened up. Can you feel that in your IT band at all?
Yes.
And then on your inhale, slowly rise back up. both hands overhead, lift up, breathe in, and exhale, forward fold. Yeah, look on his face like, oh, forward fold, exhale. I didn't understand a word you just said. Halfway lift, flatten your back, and fold. Rise up to mountain pose, reach up, lift your hands overhead with power, and exhale to a chair pose. Take a deep breath in, and forward fold. Halfway lift, flat back, and vinyasa. Create up dog to down dog. And downward facing dog. If you need a blanket or something to pad your knees, go ahead and pull that across your mat. Step your right foot forward, come into a low crescent lunge, left knee to the ground. You'll need the blanket. Okay. We're going to be on our knee for a little bit. So I want you to come into a low runner's lunge. Take your hands to your knee first, and you're going to work your way slowly down so that your forearms can come to the floor into lizard. But we're going to take our time with that. I want you to come slowly into it. Your right knee can go past your right ankle. Just be mindful. If you feel any uncomfortability, stop and move your foot forward. I like when Mark's shoulders are up and back. He's lifting up into it, getting that good stretch through the left hip flexor. Sometimes he has us take our thumbs in our armpits and lift up. It's usually at the beginning of class, which is good, because usually towards the middle of class, I don't want to stick my fingers under my arms. Lift your chest up. Smell your fingers. Lift up, and then start to slowly, you're going to work your way into a bit more of a lunge, hands to the floor. And don't go all the way to your forearms just yet. While you got your hands to the floor, I want you to kind of twist. I want you to kind of bend. See what feels good in your left hip flexor. You're probably getting a little bit of a stretch in your right hip as well. Move around and bring some energy into those areas. I have no idea what feels good for you. So you find that out. You figure it out. You wiggle, you twist, you burn, you turn, reach to one side. Mark's going kind of cool with it. Never know what feels good for other people. And then bring yourself back into a low lunge, left hip over your left knee. And take your left hand to your right knee, take your right hand behind you, create a twist. Try to sit up nice and tall. You can take your elbow or your hand to the knee. Yes. Prayer twist or hand to knee, your choice. And once you're in that twist, you can even kind of lunge back into your right knee a little bit deeper if you'd like. That kind of gets those QL muscles across your back, the ones that kind of crisscross the low back, kind of gets a nice little twist in there. It helps open up those hips. It's all connected. Then come back up, left hip over your knee, and switch to the other side. Right knee comes down, left leg comes forward. Energy. Scissor switch. Come into your runner's lunge, or your lunge. Hands to your knee, chest lifts up and back. Get the good stretch through your right hip flexor, right side. Lift your shoulders up and back. There go the stinky armpits. He's so weird. Lift up through your chest. Bring your chest up and back. I don't know if you can see it from the video, but from here, he's got this curving arc in his body. It's opening up into his quads here, coming down through his hip flexor, all the way into his knee. It's getting every one of these muscles in his hip, all the way up into his shoulder and quad there. Make your way back up. Bring your hands to the floor into your low lunge. And again, do your thing. Do your dance. You don't have to copy Mark. Just do what feels good for you. Find what works for you. You're working on your right side mainly, but your left hip can get some work here too. Internal adductors get opened up. Your left foot may go up on its edge a little bit. That's okay. Maybe it may turn out a little bit on its side. And then begin to make your way back up, bringing your right hip back over your knee. And whatever kind of twist you did on the other side, do the twist on this side. Whether it was a hand to the knee or elbow, create your twist. And if you want to lunge back into your left side, you can. Warming them up. Take another full inhale, and then release the pose. Come back into your right hip over your knee. Rise back up. And we're going to switch back to the other side. Right leg forward, left knee to the floor. I'm sorry? Yes. Right leg forward, left knee to the ground. Now we're going to make our way into our lizard pose. So go ahead and take your forearms toward the floor. If you need to take them to a block, use a block. And if you can go even further than forearms, like if you can take your chest to the floor, kind of work your chest towards your mat. Your right foot may go up on its edge, it may turn out. That's good, that's fine. And once you're in a good low lizard pose, I want you to curl your left toes under and lift your left kneecap up slowly. Try not to bounce too much with your body. Lifting your kneecap up, you're going to feel that intense stretch into your left hip flexor. Be mindful. If you need to, set your knee back down. Those of you who create the bind or those of you who create the balance can create that. Take a deep breath in, and then slowly lower your knee back to your mat. From here, we're going to go into a twist. Keeping your left knee to the floor, left forearm stays down, or you can bring your hand to the floor. It's your choice. Bring your right hand over your head, sweep it around, bring your shoulder up and back. You can grab a hold of your foot, or just bring it to your left side. You're going to work to turn your chest up and back. Your right foot will probably go all the way up on its edge and out a little bit. Nice pose, Mark. Mark is on his hands, so he's got his left arm holding him up. If you want to go deeper into this pose, you can lower back down to your left forearm. It does add a lot more stretch into your left quad, so be mindful. Don't go down all at once. You might pull a little too much. How's that feel?
Yeah, it would be really deep if I was
Yeah, it's a really deep pose if you go to your forearm. So don't jump right in. For those of you who can't grab your foot, that's okay. Just go ahead and take your right hand to your left hip and use that as a prop to pull you up and back. And remember, don't let your left hip sink toward the floor. You're not laying your leg to the mat. You're keeping it lifted, keeping yourself lifted. Take a deep breath in. Bring your right hand back to the floor. And make your way back to your runner's lunge. Back up. And switch to the other foot. Elizabeth Maurer, if you're watching, those are scissor switches you love so much. Left foot, right foot is back. Come into your lizard pose. Begin to make your way, lowering yourself down toward the floor. It's no rush. Take your time. One thing that I've learned about hips, you really can't rush them. You've got to just let them do what they need to do. And if you're propping yourself up by your forearms, maybe move your arms forward or out to the sides a little bit. Allow your chest to sink a little bit lower towards the floor. You never know until you try. You might be able to get a lot more of a stretch through your hip flexors and hip. If you give it a try, just not all at once. Take your time, nice and slow. We hold so much in our hips. We really do. We just hold so much, anger and frustration and stuff in our hips and sadness and stuff. And, this is a great way to just let some of that out. Just let it go. If something comes up in your mind, and it's just acknowledge it, let it go. You'll be much better for it, much better. Go ahead, and if you did the twist on the other side, come to your right hand or right forearm. Take your left hand, sweep it up over your head and back. Left shoulder makes its rotation up and back so that your chest starts to turn towards the ceiling. You're lifting up and back. And yummy, yummy, twisting, stretchy. Left foot goes up on its edge. Nice. This works on both hips. You're getting both hips right now. Keep your right hip lifted off the mat. Those of you who come back to your forearm mindfully, go for it. Take another full breath in. And release the pose. Come back to a downward facing dog. Yes, queen. Downward facing dog. Tailbone up and back. Let your chest sink towards your toes. I want you to come onto your butts. Okay? Go ahead and leave your blanket there, Mark. Have a seat on the blanket. Okay. We're going to come into a cobbler's pose to start with. But I want you to keep your heels away from you. Okay, take them about a foot or so away from you, 2 feet away from you. And I want you to grab a hold of your ankles. Now, I don't know if you can see from Mark's vantage point, but his back is perfectly flat. He's got a nice tall spine. Lift your shoulders up and back. Keep hold of your feet. Reach the crown of your head up and away from you and towards the end of your mat as you start to take your chin towards your big toes, pulling forward and down. Don't worry about your elbows to your legs just yet. This is about the low back. You've got to warm that up a little bit to get the rest of the hips that we're going to be working on. You're working yourself forward and down at the same time. Chin forward and down. Getting this stretch in the low back. I want you to feel this in this part of your low spine. Feeling that, Mark? Try to keep your back flat. Now, in this pose, you may not get as low as Mark, but in this pose, once you're in that low spine, low fold, I want you to keep your left shoulder where it's at, take your right shoulder towards your feet. Pull it towards your opposite foot. Feel this crossed? Good. Working on the low QLs, getting those crisscross muscles in the back to stretch a little bit. And then switch to the other side. Left shoulder comes down towards your right foot. Down and forward with the shoulder. And then switch back to the right. Right shoulder towards your left foot. Pulling your chest down and forward toward your feet. And then back to the left side, down and forward towards your feet. And release that pose. Go ahead and rise back up. I want you to bring your heels in towards your groin now. Try to bring them as close to your groin as you can. Comfortably. Press the soles of your feet together. And grab the outside, the top of your feet. Lift your chest up. Shoulders come back. And I want you to reach your head up and forward as you press your elbows into your thighs and toward the floor. If you want to use blocks, set blocks on the inside of your thighs. Do you want to use this? That will help kind of give them a nice even press down. We're going to hold this for a little bit, maybe a minute or so. So keep into that pose. Keep pressing your thighs toward the floor. Internal adductors, get the stretch. Keep a nice tall spine. You're also working your low back and those QLs. Keep shifting forward. How's that feeling? Good. So many times we just breeze right past hips, or we don't have a lot of time for just to settle in on hips. So I like to give a good hip workout occasionally in there, just something to really work it out. We're coming up on our minute here. May hold it a little bit longer. Just keep, kind of lean into it. Press your elbows into your thighs, push them toward the floor. Just past the first minute. We might go another 30 seconds. And then go ahead and rise back up. If you have blocks, set them aside. And I want you to come onto your back. Bring your knees to your chest and give them a squeeze. Kind of rock it out side to side a little bit. And then rock forward and back and come into an upward facing dog. Up dog. And itch. Okay, upward facing dog. Bring your shoulders up and back. And then downward facing dog. Okay. I want you to walk your hands back to your feet and come into a stand. We're going to come into a wide legs. So go ahead and face toward the camera. Take your feet wide. And Mark had me do this the other day, and it felt really good. I want you to lunge into a side. So turn your toes out toward the outside corners of your mat, like you're coming into garland pose, and lunge, such as Mark is doing right here, lunging into each side. Take your time, move it slow. You're working not only your quads and hamstrings, but also the internals of your hips, hip flexors, everything is getting a good little stretch here. Your glutes, your quads, and your hamstrings. Mark says, like he's a kung fu master. Like on Into the Badlands. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show. Great show. Whoa. Each time working a little bit lower to the ground. A little bit lower, a little bit lower. One more time. Start with the left and go back to the right. and then come back up into a wide-legged stance. Stand up wide-legged, and I want you to reach your hands overhead. You're going to take your left hand to your right big toe. Try to keep a nice tall spine. There it is. Just reach it. Left hand to your right big toe. Now, your right hand can be either on your hip or up to the ceiling, but I want you to try to stack your right shoulder over your left. This is where we're working on. We're working on these muscles right across here, coming through across your low back. Getting that cross stretch. This is the same as we were doing in the cobbler's pose with the shoulders turning in. This one is just a little more in depth, a little more intense. How's that? Good. Take a deep breath in and take both hands to the center of your mat, straight in front of your face. Straight there, halfway lift, and rise back up. Let's switch to the other side. Take your right hand up over your head. Reach up as high as you can. Right hand is coming to your left foot. Sweep it over. Good job. Grab your left big toe or your ankle or your shin, whatever you can grab, and then work to bring your left shoulder and stack it over your right. Getting the stretch in the other low back. Feeling that? Good. Getting those glutes fired up. Getting all these muscles. This is all connected. You got to keep it working. Shaking a little bit. Pretty intense. Take a deep breath in and come back to the center, both hands to the floor in front of you. Create a halfway lift, flat back, and then rise up. I want you to bring your feet in just a little ways past hip width, turn them back out to the side, and come into Malasana. Come into Malasana. Yogi squat. You know, this is Damon, so most of the time I'd be like, oh, go into a crow, but no, let's kind of skip on that today. Let's kind of hang out in your Malasana. We're going to hold this for about a minute. With Mark laughing, Mark just started laughing like, well, maybe 2 minutes in, Mark. No, I'm just kidding. Christine, this is for you. 5 minutes, no. Those of you who know Christine, she loves her Malasanas. You're over halfway there. Elbows inside your knees, kind of giving a little pressure out. Still with me, Mark? Okay, we got about 5 more seconds left, so engage your core and slowly rise up. If you need any assistance, grab the side of a chair or couch and pull yourself up. Okay, shake it out, shake it out. Okay, we're going to come back to the floor again. So I want you to come into a low lunge. Go ahead and take your blanket back across. Blanket back across your mat if you used a blanket. What's the matter? So he said he's a little tender on his internal adductors and internal hips. Well, forward splits would ought to just kind of take care of that. So with a block on each side of you, go ahead and come into a runner's lunge or low crescent lunge, right foot forward, left knee to the floor. If you have blocks or you have something to hold you stationary, put one on each side of you or whatever you need to stabilize yourself. We're going to take your right foot out in front of you into a half monkey pose. Half monkey pose. Right heel out in front of you. And stay here for a little bit first. I want you to keep your left hip over your knee. You're kind of leaning forward. And I want you to press your heel away and pull your toes back towards you and fold forward, taking your nose toward your toe first. Just warming up the underside of your leg. If it's not warmed up yet, it should be getting there really quick. Those of you who come into a half split, take your right heel out in front of you, a little bit further, and start to shift your weight forward. Now Mark will show you a variation that you can take by using a block underneath your thigh. That's a great way to get yourself and kind of track yourself as well. See how you're going. He's got his foot on the towel, kind of easing into it. And then you put the block underneath your thigh so you can't go any further down than you are ready for. That is a great pose. Good job. Good work. You need another block? You need another block? Okay, good. And we'll hold this for about 4 minutes. No, I'm kidding. For about 30 more seconds. Don't do that, you'll hurt yourself. Get out of here, Damon. Just get out of here. We'll be making our transition out of here shortly. If you would like, Mark has got his hands over his head. You can also start to take a forward fold towards your front leg if you would like to give it a try. It is intense. Be mindful about it. Taking your forward fold towards your chin towards your knee. There's also a variation. If you can come all the way into your forward splits by bending your left leg up and bringing your foot up and coming in and grabbing it with your hand, that's another option as well. Begin to make your way out of the splits. Lift yourself up as carefully as you can, slowly as you can, and make your way to a downward facing dog. Down dog. Walk your dog, shuffle your legs, bend a leg, straighten a leg. Taking your time, when you're ready, half monkey on the left. Take your left foot forward, right knee to the floor. Stabilize yourself and take your left heel out in front. With a flat spine, press your heel away, toes back, lean your chest forward and take your chin towards your left big toe. When you're feeling it and ready, go ahead and shift forward into your splits on this side. You can take your time, and if the splits aren't happening today, that's okay. You don't have to go all the way into them. Take your time. Mark's little foot is just shaking. Good job. And he made it to his block. Take your time. Again, if you want to go ahead and create that fold, gently taking your chin forward, you can. Those of you who have the option and bend your right leg, you can. Just, in this pose, I've learned you take your time. You just really don't rush into this pose. Anything with hips, just really got to be mindful. And we haven't even gotten to the two poses that Mark requested for this class. I had the needle and frog. And begin to make your way slowly up and out of the pose. Take your time. Be mindful. Good job. Good work, Mark. Downward facing dog. Walk your dog. If there's another pose that would work better for you, you can come into that one. Just loosen yourself up, kind of bring yourself back. That's a heck of a stretch. After you've walked that out a little bit, make your way onto your butts, then onto your backs. We're going to come into a quick bridge pose, not full wheel bridge pose, and I want it to be a supported one, so take your block with you. So press your feet down, lift your tailbone up, and set your block on its edge, or if you don't have a block, take like a rolled up towel, something like that, or if you want to come into just a regular bridge, that's fine as well. Relax here for a moment. And then I want you to bring your right foot up and over your left knee into a figure 4. Flex your toes back towards your knee, and then try to bring your right knee level with your left knee. Keep your hips square. So pulling your right knee gently down. Too much. There we go. This is just kind of a warm-up for the frog pose. I like to do this before frog. It kind of gets my hip tendons and everything kind of aware of what's about to come. And switch to the other side, left foot up and over your right. Flex your toes back towards your knee, and then try to bring your left knee even to your right knee towards your mat. Hips squared. And then set that foot back to the floor. Lift yourself up, remove the block, and set it aside. Come back to your mat, bring your knees to your chest, and give them a squeeze. Okay. Rock forward and back, come into a downward facing dog. Go ahead and slide your blanket off. If you're using a blanket or a pad, go ahead and take that off. And down dog. Step your right foot forward for 90-90. You're going to bring your right shin parallel to the top of your mat and line your right thigh parallel to the outside edge of your mat. Your left leg is going to come out to the side and down in another 90-degree angle. You need a towel or something under your knee. Pad your knee. So he's got these two 90-degree angles right here. His left foot is at a nice little angle here, out to the side and up, then there. So you're going to shift your chest forward, turn it to the front, and lower your chest down towards your right thigh. We'll start here. We're going to hold this for a little bit, and then we're going to shift from here into half pigeon. So keep your chest against your thigh, lower down, and try to stay kind of still in this pose. Just kind of let it happen. Let the pose happen. And while you're there, I'll read from Journey to the Heart by Melody Beattie. So, remember to be happy. The sign hangs on the wall of a bagel shop. Don't forget to be happy. Sometimes we get so bogged down in dealing with feelings, issues, and problems, the realities and details of our lives, we forget to be happy. Often happiness can be ours if we just remember to be happy. Joy is a choice, a deliberate, conscious choice. That choice is available to each of us every day. Our joy isn't controlled by others or by outward circumstances. Joy comes from a deeper place, a place of security within ourselves. It is an attitude, not a transitory emotion. Remember to be kind. Remember to be loving. Remember to feel all of your feelings and to take care of yourself. But most of all, remember to be happy. From here, in your 90-90, what I want you to do is to come back up to a sit, kind of bring yourself back upright, and you're going to shift your leg back, straight back, your left leg straight back into half pigeon. You may need to bring your heel closer to your groin and come into it, but the end game goal is to keep your shin parallel to the top of your mat and your right thigh parallel to the outside edge of your mat, and then fold forward back down. Keep your toes flexed back towards your knee. Blanket, I'm going to roll it up. And relax into your half pigeon. We won't be here too long. And shift back to downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Walk that out. From there, left foot forward, 90-90. Create your 90 degrees with your left leg. Shin parallel to the top, left thigh parallel to the edge of your mat. Right leg straight out from your hip, and 90 degree on that side. There we go. You'll chest forward facing the end of your mat and lie onto your left thigh. I encourage you, after this class, if you're doing all these poses and working with your hips this much and legs, drink a lot of water. You're really working the biggest muscles in your body, the strongest muscles in your body, the largest. So drink a lot of water. They're going to need it. Otherwise, you will get tired really fast, cramp up maybe, but you're squeezing a lot of moisture out of them. Put some moisture back in them. So yeah, drink lots of water. And from here, you're going to lift yourself back up. Send your right leg back into your half pigeon. Half pigeon pose for about a minute. And make your way to a downward facing dog. Tailbone up and back. Take a few walks on that. From there, we're going to make our way into Eye of the Needle. So come onto your backs. Bring your right foot into a figure four over your left. Reach through, grab your left thigh, and pull your knee towards your chest. As you do, press your right arm into your leg and press it forward. This is going to prep us for the frog pose that we're going to end class with today. Hey, Alan. Going to find out who all's watching today. Hey, Alan. He's in the lobby, so we'll just wait till he comes out. He'll probably be listening in there and hearing me hollering for him. And then switch to the other side. Bring your left foot up and over your right. Reach to grab your right leg. He's probably like, what do they want? Yeah. Mark said he's going to edit that out during the YouTube version, so yeah. Oh my gosh, people are putting little prairie dogs up there, meerkats. Today is Alan's birthday, so I made him a pineapple upside down cake. And if you didn't read my post online, there's only one thing worse than a paper cut, I have decided, and that's an aluminum foil cut. I cut my finger with aluminum foil, and man, that hurts. That really hurts. But the cake turned out really nice. Check my Facebook. Okay. Release this side, and we're going to get ready for frog pose. By now, your hips should be pretty opened up, pretty loosened up, forward, back, side, out, and everything. So, roll up the edges of your mat if you'd like to. If you need a second blanket, Mark, you can have this one. There's that one. Mark's going to be using 2 blankets. Okay. Your alignments on frog pose. Bring your ankles under your knees. Take your knees out to the sides. You want to keep your ankles under your knees. There you go. And your hips are going to be in line with your knees. So, as Mark shimmies his butt side to side, he's lowering himself slowly into frog. We're going to hold this for about 4.5 to 5 minutes. If you need a block or a pillow under your chest, set the block or pillow there and just kind of ease into it. And come out of the frog pose anytime you need to, but if you can, just try to be in the pose. Try to hold it comfortably. The more you fight with the pose, the harder it is to be in the pose. So just kind of relax as much as you can. I've been in this pose. I know it's hard to relax, but just try. And of course, come out if you need to. Now is also a great time to have somebody tell you jokes. I'm not telling jokes today, but have them tell you something funny and you'll just shift into it and sink a little bit further. What's that, Mr. Mark? Yes, we can. Mark wants a little extra weight on his back. So, and now I will sit on the bolster. No, that's horrible. Is that too much? Okay. You'll notice if you kind of relax in the pose and set your mind on something else, before you know it, your belly may even start to touch the floor. The inside of your thighs may even start to touch the floor. And you, without really thinking about the pose, it'll open up and settle in for you. Just try to set your mind on something else. If the cat is around, have it come over and lick your face, or the dog or something, or pet your dog, or watch TV. Kind of hang out in this pose. For those of you who love this pose, I got you. For those of you who hate this pose, I got you too. Got you too. Hopefully before long we'll be able to have these classes in person. I so look forward to those days. I miss everyone. Maybe about another minute or 4. About a minute. That'll do it. He said, now he looks like a frog. Put another bolster on top of him. Got about 10 more seconds, and we can call it a pose. The best way I know to come out of the pose is to reach your hands as far in front of you as you can and press your hands to the floor. Pull forward as you press your legs backwards. Try to straighten your legs behind you. And then make your way up and out and into a downward facing dog. frog twice in 1 week. Good work, you guys. From there, find yourselves onto your backs, spinal twist, bend your knees, touch your knees together, take your feet to the outside edges of your mat. Let your knees drop to the right, bring your right foot on top of your left foot, extend your hands off to the sides, and relax. Look towards your left hand. And switch to the other side. Just think, if you were here at the studio, you'd be getting one of these today. Look at Mark. Shavi, shavi, shavi. So he's going to put it on his hips. And then from your spinal twist, find yourself relaxing in final rest, Shavasana. I'll let you know how much he hates me tomorrow when he gets up out of bed and can't walk very well. Good work today, guys. Settle in for Shavasana, close your eyes, and breathe. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Start bringing yourself around little bits at a time. Shift your hips side to side. Make sure that they're still working for you. And when you're ready, make your way to a seat. I hope you've enjoyed this class with hips. So let's close class the way we normally do. Create an Om. Hands to your heart. Take a deep breath in. With love. Namaste.